Hello and welcome to Cooking the Books with Heather. Today we are finally going to use our preserved lemons, which I will link the video up here for you, where we prepared them for this recipe. Now she tells you how many of these to use, but also says that it gives you an amount of the basically minced zest here, because if you use store-bought ones, they tend to be smaller, and so you might need to use more than her recipe says. So if that's the case, I would go ahead and check the amount. I'm not going to do that because it looks about right to me, but we've minced it. It's just basically the zest, no pith, no actual inside of the lemon, just the yellow part on the outside. So if you want to see how I did that, there'll be a link up there for the video. I'm not an expert, but I think it went okay. So I'm going to go put these back in the refrigerator where they need to stay because they are not processed in any way. So this is one of those recipes that is annoying because the ingredients are on one page and the method is on the next page. So I'm going to have to keep flipping back and forth. Okay, so we have the preserved lemons in here, and now I need to put in some granulated sugar. So these will be a sweet scone. All right, looks good to me. And now we need the rest of our dry ingredients. So we're going to start with, let me take these away as I use them. Makes me feel better. We're going to start with some flour. Anymore. This is all-purpose flour. So let me. That's fine. We're going to need more of this for dusting later, so I'm not going to put this away as much as I would like to. I'm going to put the lid on it so I do not knock it over. We've got, okay, so now we've got some baking powder. And some baking soda. These are our leavening ingredients. There we go. Good enough. And so now we just need to mix all this together, I believe. I'm all over the place today. So we're just going to stir all this together, get everything. Oh, you know what I forgot? I was going to wear this because I know I'm going to get flour all over me today. So I got this to kind of protect myself from getting all the flour and everything on me, because I am not a clean cook ever. All right, that's mixed together pretty well. And now, see, I'm not clean. Now we're making a well in the middle to put our wet ingredients, which I have in the refrigerator because I'm trying to keep them cold. Actually, no, not the wet ingredients, yet, and I don't need a well yet. I need the butter. Also, okay. So we're going to use the grated butter method for these scones. Did I say that we're making scones with preserved lemon. I don't think I did. And this is from Outlander, the second Outlander book. My editor's going to hate that I didn't say that yet. I don't think I did. Anyway, we've used this method before. This butter should be at least from the refrigerator, if not from the freezer, but it's really hard to grate frozen butter, which I have done before. And if I'm going to do that, I use the food processor, which is how I make my freezer biscuits now. When I make a batch, I just use the food processor for that part. Now it becomes trying not to hurt myself. I'm using unsalted butter here, which I don't think she specifies. You can use whatever you like. A little bit of extra salt doesn't generally make a huge difference in my experience. That could be a controversial opinion. I do not know, but I do it when I need to. Since these are sweet biscuits and that has salt in it, I went ahead and only used unsalted. Anyway, that's annoying. All right, so I'm going to toss this to coat it again. I'm not going to use my hands just yet. Although I will, I'm sure, be getting my hands super messy at some point. Just getting that butter coated with the flour. We've done this so many times, a similar thing. Tons of recipes. So now I've made a well in the center. I'm going to add some lightly beaten egg and some heavy cream. And now I'm supposed to mix this with a fork. So now I have to get a fork. Incorporating the dry ingredients a little at a time until a shaggy, slightly dry dough forms. I'm pretty sure that, like with biscuits, you don't want to work the dough too much. Lightly floured, she says. Good enough. And we just turn all of this out on there. And we're supposed to knead it gently into a ball. Okay, well that is maybe the best I'm going to be able to do as far as getting all of that incorporated. I measured everything right, but it is kind of a dry dough. My biscuit doughs tend to come together a little bit better than that. But anyway, so now we're going to try to press it or roll it into a 6 by 12 inch rectangle. You can see the pieces of preserved lemon in there. I'm going to call that good for now. And then we're supposed to sort of do a book fold here. Fold it into thirds on top of each other. And that will help give it a little bit more flakiness. And then turn it a quarter turn, and I'm going to put the top down. And then now we have an option here and how we want to shape these. I think I don't want to cut them out into rounds. That's what she does. But you can cut them into squares, 8 squares, or use a round cutter, or you can do triangles. So I'm going to try to get, I don't want to do circle wedges. I would rather do like a square and then cut it into cut the square into triangles. So that's going to be my goal here. She says you want it about an inch thick, which I think I'm almost there. It won't be exactly square, but all right. I'm going to call that good, and I'm going to cut it into quarters, and then cut the quarters into triangles. First, I'm going to get this closed up, and I'm going to get my baking sheet ready. So now I'm going to just estimate half. There we go, good enough. And so we've got 4, and now I'm going to cut them along the diagonal. There we go, good enough. They don't have to be perfectly even. And then we're going to put them on this baking sheet. We just want them to sort of not be touching. These all bake up individually, preferably. And I need to get a little bit of heavy cream, a little bit more heavy cream, and a pastry brush and some sugar. So now I need to brush these with a little heavy cream. That will help them brown. But we also sort of gild the lily and also sprinkle on some sugar after we brush them with cream. I do not have Demerara sugar or any like super crystally sugar, which is what she suggests here. So I'm just going to be using some raw cane sugar that I have, turbinado sugar, because that's what I have available to me, and it will be fine. I often have a problem with my biscuits not browning well on the top, but this is a trick you can also use for biscuits, to brush them with cream, because the fat and everything will help it brown up a little bit better. So, all right. Now I have washed my hands about 1,000,000 times, so I'm just going to stick my hands in here. Actually, ooh, this one is sort of a crystally sugar. That's good. That looks good to me. My oven is at 375, and so we're ready to bake these, except these need to sit in the refrigerator for 15 minutes before we bake them, which means I have to find room in my tiny refrigerator for these for 15 minutes. So these just came out of the refrigerator / cooler situation. It's fine. And this is what they look like. I took a picture so you can see up close. The sugar looks like it's sort of dissolved a little bit, but not entirely. But we're going to put these in our 375-degree oven for 25 to 30 minutes until they are golden brown. So we'll show you what they look like when they come out. Our scones just came out of the oven. I baked mine for the whole 30 minutes. I looked at them at 25, and they were not quite as brown on the top as I would like, but I think they look gorgeous, and they smell delicious. But we're supposed to cool these on a wire rack. It doesn't say completely cool, or but I think we are not supposed to eat these piping hot like we usually do with biscuits. So and my whole family is not here right now. We were doing a project, and so my husband went to the hardware store, because no project takes only one trip to the hardware store. So they'll be back soon, and while they're gone, I'll be finishing up our brunch preparations. She does say to serve these with butter. So I've got some softened salted butter, because that's what I like, and jam. So I've got 3 different types of jam here. I have 2 that we've made on the channel. Fraser strawberry jam, which was from the first Outlander kitchen cookbook, and I'll link that up there. I have a little bit of these grape hull preserves left, which we made from Deep Run Roots, I believe. They're made with muscadine grapes. And this is pineapple jam that I made with some pineapple that I had that was not very good, and so I thought adding some sugar and cooking it would probably make it better. So I'll be trying it with all of these. I don't know what my family will do. They might just eat them without. We'll see. But we're gonna let these cool, and we'll be back and let you know what we think in just a minute. On this episode of Cooking the Books with Heather, you watched me make scones with preserved lemon from Teresa Carle-Sanders' Outlander Kitchen 2 cookbook. So this is the first recipe I've used those in, the ones that I made. And I have to say, the whole family really enjoyed these. Everybody ate it, didn't complain, wanted to eat 2, and it did make 8. So there were 2 for each of us because we've got a family of 4. And we ate them the first day, and then the second day everybody had their second one. So that's good. It's not too hard. I mean, if you have the preserved lemons, I really did like the little something extra that the preserved lemons added to it. And I was trying to think if I thought that it was different than just, putting some lemon zest in the scones. I might try that to see if it feels similar, but because you only really use the zest here. But whatever it was, we enjoyed it, and I will probably be making these again. They're not very difficult. Let's see. I don't love grating the butter, but you can do that however you like, really. There are other methods to cut butter into flour. Grating is not my favorite method, but it's fine. But otherwise, you don't need any really special equipment. You can make them whatever shape you like. And yeah, use basic ingredients except for the preserved lemons. So it's a nice little fancy thing. And usually my family does not go for scones. We prefer biscuits. They're very similar, but there is a difference. Anyway, if you've enjoyed watching me make this, please give me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, share this with your friends, and come back and watch me make something else next week.